Okay, so let's talk about which answer I think is the better slide. In my opinion, and since I'm the teacher, my opinion matters quite a bit. The best slide is this slide, slide number 1, the tundra over here, as opposed to tundra with the exclamation points. And here's why. The tundra, this slide, the first slide, is very concise. It has a couple of important pieces of information, and it has one small picture that relates to the information that's being talked about there. Okay? And the reason why this is great is because when you're giving a presentation, you don't want to have you don't want to have a full essay up on the screen, right? You're going to be talking. And so you don't want the screen to have all the information. You're going to give the presentation. And so you don't want to have a long paragraph like you do right here. Okay? You want to have small, short bullet points, and you don't want to cover the whole page with text. Okay? And then the picture, notice how this picture relates to the information that's being talked about here, right? It says it's covered in snow, it says it's cold, and we have this cold picture. And notice how it's not covering any of the text. It's separate, and it's sort of accenting the things that you're saying without getting in the way of reading it like it does down here. I can barely even read this down here. And I know the idea of having a full page picture is really enticing. I'm not exactly sure why, but for some reason students love to make these big pictures in the background. But trust me, I've made a lot of PowerPoint presentations, and this is not a good idea. It's not professional. So all in all, each page that you should have a couple of short bullet points, maybe 4 to 6. It should not have full paragraphs, right? It should have short examples, okay? And it should have images that are properly sized and that support what you're saying. So if you're going to have a picture like this airplane, right, it should be properly sized, which means it shouldn't cover the whole page. I know you really want to, right? No full-size backgrounds. But it should be small and it should support what you're saying. So this is a bad example here because this airplane has nothing to do with what I'm saying on this slide. You want to have pictures that have something to do with what you're saying. Generally, you want to keep your presentation professional. You don't want, all kinds of crazy things. You don't want 50 different pictures. You don't want things that are, junk from outside of school. If you want to make a PowerPoint presentation that's crazy and fun at home, that's awesome. Do it at home. But when you're at school, the presentations that we make need to be professional. So use that as a guide. Think about what you think professional is, and that's what your presentation should be. All right, so that does it for everything that we talked about today. We learned how to open PowerPoint, and we learned to save our PowerPoint presentations all the time. Don't forget to save. You should save all the time. We learned how to put a design into our PowerPoint slides to give it some color by clicking on that Design tab. We learned how to add new slides by clicking that New Slides button on the Home tab. And we also saw the different templates, right? You can choose some different types of new slides. We saw how to add text by just clicking and typing in those boxes, and also how to add pictures by copying and pasting them from the internet. And lastly, in the end there, we talked about what a good slide is that just has a couple of bullet points, that's minimal text, and supporting visuals, small pictures that relate to what you're talking about, versus a poorly designed slide that has like huge paragraphs and big pictures that are distracting and don't really have to do with what you're talking about. Okay, so now that we're done learning all that stuff, it's time to show me that you learned something. You're going to start your biome presentation for the rest of the period today. So once you're done with this, you're going to meet with your partner, make sure they've finished as well. And then as a team, the two of you must do 2 slides. One is a title slide that should have your biome name, it should have your names, and it should have your homeroom. And if you want to add a picture to that, that'd be great. And then you should also have a slide that answers the first question for your presentation, which is, where is your biome? Where is it on the globe? Is it, in the United States? Is it sort of near the equator, far from the equator? Is it in the ocean? Is it on the land? So you want to have a slide that answers that question. So you're going to have a couple of bullet points and maybe a picture or two for just that. Once you're done, I want you to actually hand that in on MrCaden.com so I can take a look at it and make sure you guys learned something. Okay? Not a lot of time left, so get started.